Hi everyone, welcome back to Coffee with Kat, an online talk show where I discuss celebrities, TV, film, and occasionally interview industry guests. So this marks my first official episode, yay! So I thought it would be fun to review a new TV show that I have binge watched recently, and maybe you guys have thought about checking it out. You've heard a lot about it, there's been some controversy here and there. So I did this for you, spent the weekend, I watched it all, and I'm ready to share my thoughts. So the TV show that I'm going to review is Insatiable. It is a show now streaming on Netflix, so if you want to see and hear what I have to say about it, keep on watching. Okay, so if you're not familiar with the show, I will give you a quick synopsis. The show centers around Patty, who is an overweight teenager, and she has been her whole life. She's been bullied, she's been shamed, she doesn't have many friends, and one day she goes to a convenience store and gets into a fight with a homeless man who ends up punching her, and she has to get her jaw wired shut, so she ends up losing a ton of weight. And after she recovers, she has dropped the weight, and she now thinks that her life is going to become magically perfect. She's going to have friends, she's going to be popular, she's beautiful, and everything is just going to magically change now that her one wish has come true. Now there's been a lot of controversy over this show because of a lot of media outlets calling it fat shaming, and I actually think it's quite the opposite after watching the show, and I will get into why I think that at the end of it. First things first, I want to give it a rating. I went into this really having high hopes. It looked really cute and quirky with a really awesome message to send to young people, but unfortunately it just didn't live up to my expectations, so I'm going to give it a C+. At first I was like, man, this show is going to be an A, this is awesome, but I'm gonna start out with some problems that I had with the show, unfortunately. My biggest problem being plot holes. I think the show had a lot going on all the time, and it was cute and quirky, and I liked that it had a lot going on, but it needed to follow through with what it started. The biggest example that I can think of is in episode 3 when Patty goes to Alabama to compete in a beauty pageant, and her friends are left behind at home, but they decide that they want to take a road trip and go and try and help her with this pageant because they feel like there's a lot going on with her and she needs help and she's a little lost and they're afraid she's going to get into trouble. So yes, Patty does end up getting into a lot of trouble, but my biggest problem is we never learn what happened to her friends. They go on this road trip and then they just like poof, disappear. And there was a lot of poof disappearing going on in this show. They would start out with these storylines and it would just kind of like fade away. Like what happened to the man that Patty lights on fire, and we kind of know that, you know, I won't give it away, something does happen, but we don't know like where it resolves. Like there's all this hoopla around it, and then we don't know, like, does Patty get in trouble? Do people know? Like, it just kind of fades away. A lot of poof. Another example of poofing would be Patty's mom. She kind of, again, disappears. What happens to Christian? I don't know. His storyline kind of like floats all over the place. So there were a lot of plot holes and storylines that didn't quite cohesively go together, and I just felt like it was a whole lot of stuff going on that needed to be interwoven a little more carefully. Okay, so those were kind of my biggest issues with the show, and it would happen kind of every episode, so I'd get really involved and then things would go astray and it would be really distracting. So that's what kind of made me give this a lower score. But there was a lot that I did like about the show, and a lot of characters that I really did like. The characters that I loved were Bob Armstrong, Coralie Armstrong, Nani Thompson, And I liked Patty's character. I didn't love her, but I liked her. And I loved Regina. I hated her character, but I loved how the actress played her character. I thought all of those characters were really interesting and dynamic and funny, especially Nani. I think her storyline was probably my favorite storyline of the entire show. It had awesome character development, and to see her totally in love with her best friend and be in so much pain and anguish because of it, and wanting so badly to come out and being really confused about it, was really, really heartwarming and touching, and something that I think a lot of young people can really relate to. And then seeing that her dad fully supported her, and then her getting a girlfriend, and her becoming like super confident in who she is, I think was honestly the best part of the show. And not only becoming confident, but confident to be her own person. I think Patty could have learned a lot from Nani. And I say that because the underlying storyline is, of course, of Patty and her weight loss. And this is where I'm going to talk about the controversy. A lot of people that may have not watched it and just assumed that it was about fat shaming, it's actually the complete opposite. It's touching on a very, very, very important topic about how, especially young people, think that once they become this popular, once they become thin, once they get lip injections, once they, you know, get the right boyfriend, that everything will fall into place and their life will just magically be perfect. And it's setting these unattainable goals that when you do reach it, if you do, you realize that it's not about that at all. If you don't work on what is on the inside, you'll never be happy. And I think that's such an important lesson. And I think that's such an important statement to be giving, not only to young people, to all people. It's incredibly important. I struggle with that in my own life. So I loved that message. Patty finally got what she thought was going to make her happy, and it made her miserable. She even talked about how she realized how ugly she was on the inside, and not until she changed her insides would she ever be happy on the outside. And that's such an important lesson. So all in all, I thought the show was really cute, really quirky, really irreverent, campy, and had some really awesome comedic moments. But overall, it just didn't flow the way that I hoped. Now, I saw that it got picked up for season 2, so maybe they will iron out some of these plot hole details. And my hope is that they just stick with a much simpler, cohesive storyline. I loved that the characters were quirky and funny and did lead to strange things that would get them into odd situations that were very funny, and I loved watching, but it just never quite flowed completely together. The show reminded me a lot of Revenge, so if you liked that show, I think you'll definitely like this show. It's just a way more campy version of that same type of tone. But yeah, if you're looking for something fun and cute, definitely give it a watch. And I think it's really something great for teenagers to watch, and to watch with their parents, you know. It's something that you could watch as a whole family and have discussions about it afterwards. So again, C+. I think there is definitely room for improvement, but a lot of the actors did bring some really awesome, funny, quirky moments to the show that I really enjoyed. So overall, I did enjoy it, but I'm looking for a little bit more from you guys. Alright, so that is my review for Insatiable on Netflix, and that is my first episode. That was my happy dance, or weird dance. So if you want to have me review a show that you guys are watching, that you think that I would like, I really like pretty much anything. I'm open to all suggestions, and I love checking out new things, watching new things, and given my opinion, I guess. So let me know what you guys think of this episode, and if you guys watch the show too, let me know what you think about it. All right, until next time, this is Coffee with Kat signing off. Bye.